Today's topic is how to be open for love while not lowering your standards. And I want to tell you how I messed this up. So for years and years, I know about myself. I love sports. I love working out. So all I would do was look for women that also liked working out, also liked sports, and I would only date them. And on top of that, I had a certain image of what these women look like, and I had a certain body type that I was attracted to. So I pigeonholed myself into this segment of women that liked working out, was into sports, and had this body type. And so I had this very narrow window of who I could date. And so what I did is I went out there and I went on dates with these folks. And for a long time, none of them really could stick. And I couldn't figure out why. Like something about, and I would get in relationships, but something about the personality didn't really feel great. And what happened was every time I dated these folks, I always got about the same archetype-ish of woman. So eventually I'm like, wait a second, if I keep doing the same thing, isn't that the definition of insanity? I need to open up who I date. So eventually I started dating folks that weren't into sports, weren't into fitness. And all of a sudden I met Paige and I would go on the first date and I'm like, wow, this conversation's great. And I really like this person. I'm having fun. Now, it wasn't the easiest thing in the world. Date 3, 4, 5 rolls around. I'm like, this feels so uncomfortable. Like she doesn't play sports. Her mentality is different than mine. She doesn't have this competitive edge. And it just felt weird and uncomfortable. And all that was I was used to this certain comfort and this certain familiar thing. So I chose a person every time based on this familiarity. And that's what we do. We choose based on this thing that reminds us of the past person. And it feels comfortable and it feels like, oh. And your brain just goes, ding, 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 that's your person. Because it felt like the last one. But the last one didn't work out. So we kind of need to change our wiring, because our brain's just going to automatically, subconsciously be like, oh, that's it. But we have to think about it. And eventually I had to think about it because I'm like, I've dated the same woman so many freaking times and it's just not what I really want. So, why I'm telling you this story. I want you to be open to who gets some dates with you. And I want you to have fun on the dates. And I want you to see if you can have a 10 out of 10 conversation with someone you didn't maybe necessarily think was going to be your person. Because maybe we've just been wired for a really long time to keep selecting this certain type of person, but they've never really been right for us. So I'd say give guys a chance. Go on these dates, experiment, especially if you've been married for 20 years. I mean, what I love about the women that I typically work with is they're in their 60s and maybe they've just been married for 20 or 30 years. So they're really open and they go on pretty much most of the dates and then they end up finding love quickly. It's the folks that are like me that have been quote unquote single or in short-term relationships, not really a long-term marriage, that we're more like stuck in our way and we're like, this is who I date. But we've never gotten it right. So be open to who you go out with. And if you go on a date with someone you've been open with and the conversation rated on a 0 to 10 scale is less than a 7 or below, you don't need to keep going out with this person. You can give them, another date or two if you really want to. But in terms of efficiency, if you're not experiencing an 8, 9, 10 on conversation, you don't need to keep going on dates with folks. But if you're having good conversations, enjoying it, but it still feels uncomfortable because it's not your normal archetype of man, that's a guy that you could keep going with. And so this allows you to be open. This allows you to not lower your standard, because I assure you, I didn't lower my standard with Paige. I was just open to who she was, which was a very different woman than I've ever dated. And now, what are we, 9 months later when I'm filming this, and it's the best relationship I've ever been in, and we have the most fun ever, and it's the easiest relationship I've ever been in, with the most communication, with the best conflict resolution, with the most understanding partner I've ever had, and the most fun, and the easiest. So what I'm saying is you can do this too. It's going to feel a little uncomfortable and you're going to have to be open. The good news is we just got your dating pool a lot bigger. So now instead of just dating this little subsector of men, we've got maybe this, if this is the whole male population, we just went from down there to here. So we got so many more men to date. So that's exciting. And what's great news is these guys probably were never your guy, but somewhere in here is your guy. And we just need to figure out what that looks like for you. And it's probably going to happen faster than you think because this change of mindset gets you excited and actually kind of just gets you to that person a lot faster versus this narrow mindset. You're just no, 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 no. And soon you become much more open and much more inviting of an amazing man to come in because now he feels that rejection energy. And now he's going to feel, ooh, she's open. That's sexy. I love a woman that's open and available for me. And you're going to draw him in. So try it out. You'll see the magic happen for you.